Okie dokie, artichoke. Ah. Hello to the BFOD squad. BFODers. Welcome back to Barrel Full of Daryl. Season 2, yeah, episode 20. And if you're new to the show, welcome. This is where I ramble on about music, movies, try to provide a little bit of mirth as well as coming up with some other funky ass shit to tell you. I want to remind you, I mentioned this last week, I have created a booklet titled Tales from Scratch Ankle, and it introduces the sponsors that you've heard on my show. It's not a long book, it's just like 16 pages, but it is available at payhip.com, and I've put a link in the episode. Also, I now have some merch to offer you. I've set up a shop to sell items with the BFOD logo and some other cool artwork. So this is for t-shirts, hoodies, coffee cups, hats, socks, whatever you need. You can go to that website, tpublic.com, and you pick a piece of art and pick what you want it to be on, put it in your cart, and order it, and they'll send it to you. Pretty cool. And as per, I have put a link for that one, the t-shirts as well. Okay. Mystery movie quote. Last week, no, Lieutenant, your men are already dead. Many of you probably know that's from The Matrix, the opening scene where Trinity kicks the asses of about 20 cops. Yeah. Damn good movie. Add that one to the list, Kenzie. I've got a mystery music lyric for you now. If you want it, here it is. Come and get it. You should know that one if you've been keeping up with my playlist. Okay. Music. So there's this band, I don't know if you ever heard of them, Rolling Stones. They're still around. And they released a new album just this month, like last week. And I think we'll spend some time talking about that album. Kenzie's a big fan, and he let me know that the full album was available. And he also recommended that I discuss the album in this podcast. So here we are. Rolling Stones. So back in season 1, episode 43, I discussed an album by them called Exile on Main Street. My favorite Stones album. Now, the Rolling Stones formed in 1962. I kid you not, they formed in 1962, and they are still rocking today. Now, lead singer, Mick Jagger, he's 82 years old, as is Keith Richards, the guitarist. These guys they're like the perpetual band, I guess. Maybe it's drugs. So their 27th studio album, July 10th, it was released, and it is titled Foreign Tongues, which has a really fucked up looking album cover. Yeah, I guess it's cool. It's very odd though. So 3 years ago, they released the album Hackney Diamonds, and it received mixed reviews. And I'll tell you right now, Kenzie doesn't think much of it. But it won a Grammy for Best Rock Album, so somebody's loving it. Now, on both of these albums, they had guest contributors. To name a few: Elton John, Lady Gaga, Paul McCartney, Steve Winwood, Belmont Tench. He was with Tom Petty, and also Bruno Mars. Now, here's something I recently learned. A few days ago. In the 1970s, the Stones would perform secret shows at small venues under the pseudonym band name The Cockroaches. Yeah. Um, I sent Kinsey a text and asked if he knew that they did secret shows under the name The Cockroaches. And he said he just learned it last week, so I don't feel so bad about not knowing that yet. Now, Kinsey provided me a review, and I'm going to read it to you. The new Rolling Stones album, Foreign Tongues, is out in full now. It's great. I think it's a classic. There's a companion limited podcast to the album called Speaking in Tongues with Nora Jones as the host. It's mostly a behind the scenes audio documentary. I've yet to look that up. It's on my list. So this album's got some really good songs. I tend to agree with Kent on that one. But it also has good videos. The album has damn good videos for its songs, and there's a bunch of them out there. Now, one of these videos uses AI to de-age the band, and it worked pretty damn good. The first time I watched it, I'm like, wait a minute, these guys are old. What's going on? But that AI thing really did a good job on that. Now, there's another video, one that stars Anya Taylor-Joy, who joined Sydney Sweeney and Angelina Jolie in a tradition of high-profile actresses making appearances in Stones music videos. So Kinsey goes on to say, plenty of classic Stones grooves and catchy hooks. Jagger's somehow still at the top of his game, yet humble enough to let others shine. One song has Keith Richards on lead vocals with an Bob Dylan-esque gravelly voice and Mick Jagger as backup vocals. The band is joined all over the record by Steve Winwood. Also, Robert Smith of The Cure chimes in, and Chad Smith of Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars says he's on Cowbell. Well, gotta have Cowbell. Also, there's some guy named Paul McCartney who plays the bass. Also, this is still Kinsey. Also, listen to Hackney Diamonds again, and it just doesn't shine like it should. They sound their age, dusty, like they hadn't put out an album in 20 years. The new album is vibrant and full of energy. It makes me want to hear more Stones. At the same time, it would be a great album to close the curtain on their legendary career. Thank you, Kinsey. I agree. Now, I particularly like the song and video for the song In the Stars. Now, this video is the one in which the band is de-aged. They look young, and it's amazing. It's a great video. And they're in this huge recording studio or somewhere. I guess it could have been like an auditorium or something. And there's like 15 drum kits set up with 15 drummers and numerous guitar players. And people all over the place dancing. It's such a good video. Now, Anya Taylor-Joy, we mentioned previously, she's in the video called Jealous Lover, in case y'all want to look at it. And when she was born, the Rolling Stones had already had a 34-year career. Yeah. There's also another song on this album. It's called You Know I'm No Good. And this is a cover of the song by Amy Winehouse. I find that interesting. And there's the song called Some of Us, in which Keith Richards sings lead. It's rare. It is. That video is great as well. And I watched maybe 5 or 6 of their videos from this album, and half of them it had men or women dancing around very slowly. I mean, it's very artistic and very enjoyable, but it's like they had some kind of a dancing women and dancing men in slow motion type thing going on. Okay. As per, check the playlist for some tunes from foreign tongues. Okay, and now I think it's time for a word from our sponsor. I'll be right back. Well, hey everybody, this is Ernest T. Bass again, coming to you from the Piggly Wiggly in Scratch Ankle, Alabama. Now, you remember last week I told you about meeting that golf girl, and she went right over to my manager, and she complained that I was gawking at her. And Johnny Ray, my manager, he looked her up and down, and said, "Well, I can see why." Well, she turned and left in a huff. But I do hope she comes back, 'cause she sure is pretty. I'll ask her to go dancing with me. Anywho, here's our weekly specials. We got some great prices on breakfast victuals for you. A 1 pound bag of Aunt Jemima grits is for only $2. Yeah. And Kaneka sausage. Ooh, that's $5 a pack. Oh, that's some good sausage. They make it right here in Kaneka County, not too far down the road. I know that podcaster Daryl. He came to visit us a couple of months ago, and he had some of that Kaneka sausage, and he really liked it. Mac, he bought a pack to take home with him, because I know he can't get it where he lives in Loveland, Colorado. Now, if I had his address, I would send him some, though. Anywho, we also got a bag of Folgers coffee for $9. Now, you can't beat that. Damn, I done gone and made myself hungry. I know. I'll ask the cashier, Jenny, maybe to go grab me some pork brains, and yes, I will promise to pay for them. Anywho, if y'all come and see me if you're in the Scratch Ankle area, I'll be in the Piggly Wiggly almost every day, and I'll share a can of pork brains with you. Bye for now. And we're back. Movie. Oh, yeah. Got a good one for you today. The Witch, subtitled A New England Folk Tale. This was released in 2015. Shit, that's 11 years ago. Doesn't feel like it. And it's a folk horror film. And the title, The Witch, the W is stylized as 2 V's. And I always wondered about that. So I did a little digging. And at that time, so we're talking the 1630s in New England. At that time, the printing presses did not have the letter W, so they used two V's. Yeah, why didn't they just use W's? I mean, use. I think they kind of swapped their V's and U's around a little bit back in those days. Now, in the credits for this movie, it states this film was inspired by many folk tales, fairy tales, and written accounts of historical witchcraft, including journals, diaries, and court records. Much of the dialogue comes directly from these period sources. Yeah. Um, the dialogue is definitely biblical in this movie. And it was made, it had a budget of four million and it grossed 40 million. Not bad. Now Robert Eggers, one of my favorite directors. Um Nosferatu, which I've talked about. And this was his writing and directing debut. Um, I watched an interview with him on the old Netflix. Nope, it was on YouTube. Yeah, and he says that he cannot stand this movie and he cannot watch it. And the reason why is he couldn't get what was inside his head directly onto the screen. Yeah. And there were some mistakes that he pointed out that do not fit the time period, items that don't fit. And I think he loathes himself for that, but I would have never noticed. Um, I didn't. So, in all these mistakes, Edgar says that the movie lacks verisimilitude. Verisimilitude. Now, in this movie, Anya Taylor-Joy was her debut as well. I know I mentioned her several times in the music discussion, but it's pure coincidence that I picked these two topics. So Anya Taylor-Joy, she was 20 years old when she starred in this film. Now, she's a beautiful lady, a little bit bug-eyed, but she's beautiful. And she plays the teenage daughter, Thomason, who is coming to puberty. Now, Ralph Ineson, I think I squeaked there a little bit. He plays the father, William, and William is a prideful, stoic, religious man. They're Puritans, okay? Now, this actor, Ralph Ineson, he has been in a shit ton of movies and TV shows. In fact, he's in that other film I mentioned, Nosferatu. Now, he also played in the movie The Green Knight. He played the title character. He's very tall. He's got a very deep voice. Great for radio. Yeah. Now, in the movie, the wife, Catherine, is played by Kate Dickie. And she's not a kind mother to her daughter, Thomason. And she's got her doing most of the chores. I guess that's common. Now, she adores the middle son, Caleb, and the younger twins, Mercy and Jonas. Oh, by the way, in the movie, there's this huge badass goat. They call him Black Phillip. Yeah, he's key to this story. Okay, on with the plot. The family is banished from their Puritan settlement over religious disputes. Basically, the father, he's got a lot of pride, a lot of conceit, and he felt like they weren't doing things properly back there at the settlement, and they ended up, saying, "Get the hell out of here." They banished him and his family. So they leave and they settle on land near a large secluded forest. They build a farm, they get some livestock, and they plant corn, all the farmer things. Now, the mother, Catherine, gives birth to her fifth child, a son named Samuel. I'm having trouble with my jaw today. Samuel, newborn. And maybe a little bit later on, the mom asked Thomason to take Samuel out and to play with them. Okay, the kid's probably like 3-4 months old now. So she's got him laying down on the ground on a blanket, and she's playing peekaboo with him. And she does it like 4 times, peekaboo. And on the 5th time, when she opens her eyes and moves her hands away, the baby's gone. Gone. So imagine, between the phrase peekaboo and the next phrase peekaboo, how much time is that? Seconds, 10 seconds at most. This baby's gone. So the family starts searching for him frantically, but it's in vain. They don't find him. And in the next scene shows a witch that has taken Samuel, and she lays him on the table and she brings out a knife, and they quit showing that at that point. But the witch has taken Samuel to use his body to make an ointment that will allow the witch to fly. Yeah, I shit you not. Now let me add here that William, the father, he's not a good farmer. His crops had failed, and he can't hunt for shit. Inept hunter. Anywho, Catherine is devastated by the death of Samuel and claims he was taken by a wolf. And of course, she also blames Thomason for his disappearance. Yes, she's very distraught, as you can imagine. Well, William takes the preteen son Caleb into the forest to hunt for wolf, and they take their dog along with them. Fowler. Fowler is the dog's name. I'm sorry. They went to the forest not to hunt for wolf, but to check their traps. They had set traps to catch animals, but their traps were empty, so he also doesn't know how to trap. So while they're doing this, while they're checking the traps, Caleb is upset, and he tells his father he's worried that Samuel was not yet baptized, was born into sin, and will not go to heaven. Well, the father dodges this question and kind of evades it. He dodges it. He tells Caleb that he had traded his mother's silver cup for the hunting supplies they're using. Now, the blame also falls on Thomason for this missing cup. So back at the farm, the young twins are playing with the goat, Black Phillip, and they claim that he speaks to them. Ruh-roh. Okay, so I got to say here at this point, this entire discussion is filled with spoilers, but the big spoiler does come right at the end, and I'll let you know. But I also wanted you to realize that I'm spoiling a lot of good shit just telling you this plot so far. Okay. One night the children lie awake and they hear mom and dad discussing their starvation situation, and they plan to send Thomason away to serve another family, which was apparently a common thing back then. One less mouth to feed, I reckon. So Caleb, the kids overhear this. They weren't meant to, but they do. And Caleb's very disturbed about them sending Thomason away. So early the next morning, he secretly goes to the barn and he's prepping the horse. And got it all saddled up and everything. Thomason walks into the barn and says, "What are you doing? Where do you think you're going?" And he tells her, I don't want you to leave. I'm going out into the forest to check the traps. She says, "Well, I'm going with you." They argue a bit, but he relents and she ends up going with him. So in the woods, Fowler, the dog, chases a rabbit and Caleb runs after him. This rabbit, a little bit of a theme in this movie, it appears several times. It's actually a hare. Okay, it's a huge ass rabbit. And it's pretty freaky looking. So this is the rabbit that Fowler sees and chases. And when the horse sees and smells the rabbit, he starts bucking. Yeah, he knows something's wrong with that rabbit. But he bucks so much that he throws Thomason off. And basically, she gets knocked out. So in the woods, and the horse runs off, never to be seen again. Now, let's see. Now, Caleb gets lost in the woods, but he hears Fowler yelping. So he starts looking for him, and he sees him, and by the time he gets there, Fowler's dead. Guts hanging out, kind of thing. So he keeps walking that same direction, and he comes upon a hut, kind of like a hut built into, made out of mud and thatch and that kind of stuff. And he approaches this hut, and it's occupied by a witch. But she appears to him in the form of a seductive woman. She lures him close and kisses him. And at that point, she reverts back to the ugly damn witch that she is. And she basically will not, she's doing more than kissing Caleb at this point. And he's sucking his tongue out or something. So Thomason comes to, and she hears her father calling for her. And she follows the sound of his voice, and she makes it back to the farm. Caleb's missing, and just another thing to blame Thomason on, which her mom does. Um, and at this point, Williams, the dad, has just about had enough of her shit. So he takes up for Thomason. He finally admits to his wife that he had traded the cup for hunting supplies. That night, Caleb returns. He's naked, he's sick, and he is delirious. Nighttime now, okay? Dark. Catherine, the mother, correctly suggests that he has fallen victim to witchcraft. So the family prays over him all night long. During this time, the twins starts calling Thomason a witch and going on and on about it. She's a witch. She's a witch. Yeah, they're little. They're like 5-year-old pest. But they do pray for him overnight, and they're accusing Thomason of being a witch. But she retorts that they are witches because they say the goat talks to them. Yeah. Now, angered by all of this witch discussion, William locks Thomason and the twins in the goat house for the night. In the middle of the night, they are awakened by the real witch, a naked, ugly one. So they're locked into this goat house. Somehow this witch gets in there, and she's eating a nanny goat or drinking its blood. So the kids, they scream, and the witch turns around and looks at them, and the witch just goes over and apparently off scene, the witch just destroys the twins as Thomason has to watch in horror. Yeah. The next morning, William wakes up, he goes outside, and he sees the aftermath. He, I mean, the goat barn is destroyed. Okay, the twins are gone. Witch is gone, and Thomason's just kind of laying out there, kind of out of it. So, in seeing this, William he kind of becomes self-aware, and he blames himself for all that has befallen the family. Now, at this time, at this ripe, here's the big spoiler. Okay, at this time, Black Phillip attacks William and gores him with his huge horns. So Williams picks up his axe, but then he lays it back down, and he's going to accept his fate. And Black Phillip charges him again, killing him. So now Catherine comes out and sees all of this and struggles with Thomason and starts to strangle her, gets her down on the ground, begins to strangle her. So Thomason reaches nearby, just barely within reach. There's a bill hook, and that's a versatile cutting tool. And she kills her mother with it. And she had no choice. It's self-defense. Okay, now here comes the big spoiler. So now Thomason, her whole family's gone. She's all alone. So she just kind of wanders around and ends up walking into the goat house. And she asks Black Phillip to speak to her. And he does not. So she turns to leave, and he does speak to her. He asks her, what does she want? What wantest thou? And she turns and looks at him and says, what can be offered? So he says, a beautiful life, a beautiful dress, a delicious life. So she agrees to this, and she signs her name in his book. And he tells her to undress, and he is now behind her in human form. Okay? And this is when she's signing the book. When he goes behind her, and after she is undressed, so at this point, he takes her into the forest in goat form and escorts her to a coven where naked witches are holding a witch's Black Sabbath. Or a witch's Sabbath. That's not a Black Sabbath. Too much music in my head. And they're dancing around a bonfire and chanting. And then the witches, they begin to levitate on up in the air, as does Thomason. She starts levitating too. And as she's levitating, she's laughing all the way up. And she gets, I guess, treetop high, maybe. And that's, and during this scene, there's just some haunting women's vocals. They're not singing, they're just kind of, that kind of stuff. And it's very haunting. And matter of fact, musical score itself is haunting. It's eerie. Yeah, the women, I got to use this word because I brought it up last week. When the voices of the women chanting, it's polyphonic. Ah, okay, so roll credits. I watched this movie years ago, not long after it came out, and I'm just very happy that I watched it again. The horror in this film is subtle and it's constantly present. It's in the atmosphere of every scene. Just this low lying fear or horror. So, but another thing, the cinematography is stunning. Um, every scene, it's kind of dark, kind of like not nighttime dark, but just kind of a dark tint to it. Um, but it really makes for the scene, all the scenes. So Eggers, he made the set, the costumes, and the dialogue historically accurate and authentic, with maybe a few mistakes. But as I said, mistakes which I did not catch and would not have anyway. Basically, Eggers felt that this movie did not have verisimilitude. But this is the kind of movie that really draws you in. It's got a lot of texture. I like to say that. It's like a good atmosphere, kind of like the movie Blade Runner, that kind of texture. So, it is streaming on Netflix. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. And if you have seen it, maybe you want to watch it again. It's a good experience, even for the second time or however many times. Okay. Uh, word of the week. Almost said day. Word of the week. Verisimilitude. Verisimilitude. I mentioned that in the discussion that Eggers felt that the film did not have similitude. Verisimilitude. Thank you. Verisimilitude. And this is the appearance or semblance of truth. It's genuine, authentic, and realistic. It's trustworthy. It's I don't know. Can't think of another word for that. But yeah, and because of the little mistakes that Eggers had made in the film, that's that's what gives it verisimilitude. It doesn't have the appearance or semblance of truth. Okay. All right. Joke of the week. Greek philosopher. Greek philosopher. Testicles. Testicles. Yeah, they say he was nuts. Oh, another Greek philosopher. Uh, Mediocrities. Yeah, like that one. Yeah, good enough. Okay, here's your joke. Knock, knock. Who's there? Euripides. Euripides who? Euripides and I'll rip a dose. That's an old one. So last week I asked, what is the largest desert on Earth? And it's not what you're thinking. It's not the Sahara. It's a cold desert. And it is Antarctica. It is the largest desert on Earth. Um, the thing about this desert is you got to have hardly any precipitation to qualify as a desert. So there are hot deserts and there are cold deserts. Um, if you get annual precipitation less than 1 foot, then you're considered, or where you live is considered a desert, and it's probably not livable. Okay, receives incredibly low precipitation. Antarctica does, and it's mostly in the form of snow that because it's so cold it won't melt. Yeah? It just accumulates. Okay, question of the week. The new question is household dust. What is it composed of? That's a damn good question. Probably don't want to know the answer, but we'll give that next. Okay, thought of the week. This is a random thought I had the other day. Like men, women have facial hair, but it's nearly invisible. Okay. So they don't have to shave their face, but they do shave their legs. Thank you very much. And I just noticed in coming up with that thought of the week that the word women, if you remove the W, it spells omen. Hey, I'm just saying. Okay, so don't forget about the playlist I got out there. And if you feel like contacting me, click on the send me a text button, clicky click. Or you can send me a direct email, bfodpodcast@gmail.com. By the way, these podcast episodes have a feature, an option to allow you to support my show. Basically, you say, yes, you check this little box and you say, I will commit to BFOD for $3 a month. Yeah, it's there. Just wanted you to know about it. So, I guess that's it for this episode. A little long-winded, I know. I don't know why it got so long. Talking too much. Talk about Kenzie too much. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I hope you were entertained and a little bit educated. I hope you had a little bit of mirth, you know. I'll tell you what, we'll do it again next week. So bye for now.